Everyone's heard of entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurs are often disrupting existing companies. It's what they do. But what if there were entrepreneurs working within a company? We call this intrapreneurship, and the job of an intrapreneur is to destroy your company. I'm Dr. John Wilson, a teaching professor at the Charles D. Close School of Entrepreneurship at Drexel University. My focus is on entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship, teaching individuals to develop a mindset and practices to be effective at starting new businesses, starting new business concepts, and driving them for market success. A lot of times I'm asked, what is an intrapreneur? We live in an era of disruption. There are continually new technologies, new approaches, new business models, and new ideas that are changing the way consumers buy products or consume services. And an intrapreneur's job is to find those changes or to explore those differences in the environment and find new ways to deliver value to customers. So an intrapreneur is really trying to introduce disruption to a company from within, not waiting for an external competitor to disrupt their market and to interrupt the revenue streams, but to find new technologies and new approaches, new business models that are going to allow the company to continue to be a driving force in the market and bringing value to their customers. Ultimately, one of the big questions that comes up is, how do you influence senior leaders of an organization to introduce or expand intrapreneurship? I'll offer three good reasons: BlackBerry, Blockbuster, and Kodak. These have become cautionary tales in the world of entrepreneurship, reminding companies of how dangerous it can be to get into a pattern and not be willing to adapt and adjust when the conditions of the market change. All three of these companies failed in terms of understanding what their business was really about, but also what it was that their customers really wanted from them. Blockbuster thought they were delivering retail stores that allowed you to rent movies. They didn't think of themselves as an instant entertainment business. They were disrupted as a result. BlackBerry thought they were creating a device that could help you access your email from anywhere. They didn't realize that it was smartphones that would do just about everything that would interrupt their revenue stream and their position in the market. Kodak is another great example of a company that thought they delivered film and all of the chemicals to develop film, when in reality they were delivering that ability to capture a moment, that nostalgic connection to the past to be able to revisit in the future. And they even invented the digital camera and yet failed to profit from it because they didn't understand or at least got stuck in a rut in terms of what it was that they were about as a company. These are the kinds of things that intrapreneurs are really built to address, to find these opportunities to disrupt the company from within, to identify new opportunities, to identify exposure points where entrepreneurial disruptors could take away their main revenue streams. And in this way, turn the company to be able to really meet the needs of their customers, not only in the current time frame, but in the future, well into the future, by adding value, by changing the way value is delivered, and ultimately helping them to overcome migraine headache problems, or helping them to gain and achieve things that they aspire to. You may be wondering what role an intrapreneur might have within an organization. Very rarely do you find a company that has a job description or job title called intrapreneur. And yet many companies do employ intrapreneurs in various ways, and there's more and more interest in adding this type of resource and capacity into the mix. An intrapreneur may come with a strong subject matter expertise in the business or in the industry or with the product. They may have a strong background in interacting with customers, or they may have a strong background in the innovation process or the business process. There can be a whole range of jobs and roles within an organization that can start with pure ideation or innovation or incubation. Incubation is where ideas are taken and refined through a process of ideation and innovation, but then really refined into business prototypes and experiments. Even further down the spectrum would be research and development, where an idea or a product or service is identified, and there's a group of individuals that are sent to determine how to create the product and how to develop that product into something that's market ready. And then on the further end of the spectrum, you have product management. These are individuals that are close to the current products, or close to the current customers, but they're innovating within those products. They're adding enhancements to the product. They're adding extensions to business lines and product lines that will bring additional value to customers and respond to direct competition. So any of these roles are likely to have intrapreneurs in them, and to be very effective, companies need to cultivate a culture of intrapreneurship along all of this spectrum. Intrapreneurship is a mindset and a practice very similar to entrepreneurship. It's bringing experimentation, a scientific process, to generating new ideas, refining those ideas, testing those ideas with customers and in the marketplace, seeing if they will work and address the needs that they do, and if customers are willing to pay for them, if there's good ways to generate revenue from these. But if you were to liken entrepreneurship as running a race, like a marathon, intrapreneurship would be like trying to do the same thing, run the same race with a rope tied around your waist, dragging a piano behind you. So in this way, an intrapreneur has to deal with a lot of the context of an organization and a lot of the processes and ingrained ideas that make it difficult for an incumbent organization to change and adapt to a new market and disruptive technologies. So the intrapreneur's dilemma is this. An entrepreneur is often very effective by taking risks, by changing things, by being a little bit brash and sometimes audacious, having audacity. These are qualities that don't play very well in a corporate setting. So the intrapreneur's dilemma is that they have to make changes in the organization. They have to do all the things an entrepreneur does, but they don't necessarily have the political support that an entrepreneur would that's trying to disrupt the business. So an important thing for an intrapreneur is to be able to manage conflict, to be able to identify where disruptive technologies that they may be proposing or helping to develop are going to make changes and cause conflict within the organization, to be able to bring those stakeholders together and help them understand why it's necessary to be adaptive and why it's necessary to consider the changes that are going to be related to new technologies or disruptions that they introduce. Okay, so we've talked about all the challenges and barriers and obstacles that intrapreneurs face. You might be thinking at this point, why would I want to be an intrapreneur? Well, this is the beauty of intrapreneurship is you don't have to work for nothing for years in hopes that an idea will come together, or put everything on the line, risk your security and your whole lifestyle to be able to have many of the same experiences that entrepreneurs do. Intrapreneurs have the opportunity to see what is happening in the market, to engage with customers in a very unique and different way, and to experiment to see what possibilities are out there, to be able to create new value for customers, new value and new revenue streams for the company, ultimately be able to change the company for the better, to be able to help the company to be adaptive and even change the world by making new things that address new problems in new ways.